have a clip for you from The Hills Rising of Briahna Joy Gray, just incredibly exposing the dishonesty of the right wing's obsession with the word woke, just through some simple questions. It's really great to see. We've talked a lot on the show recently about how they've created this tool, being woke, their obsession with the tool, and said that the left believes all these things, woke, all these terrible things, and then can apply that to anything and block all these just good actions the Biden administration is trying to take because, his agenda is woke. Or saying that the banking collapse we saw with Silicon Valley Bank is due to woke. And it's just used for everything, effectively for a lot of people, but it shouldn't, because it means nothing. And many of them who push this word, this individual, Bethany Mandel, is an author of a book called Stolen Youth about indoctrination, woke indoctrination of children, I'm assuming. And even she can't define it. Take a look at this.
Of Americans consider themselves very liberal, and probably fewer of them consider them. Of Americans consider themselves very liberal, and probably fewer of them consider themselves to be woke. And so, when we talk about traditional,
what does that mean to you? Would you mind defining woke? Because it's come up a couple times, and I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
So, woke is sort of the idea that this is going to be one of those moments that goes viral. Woke is something that's very hard to define, and we've spent an entire chapter defining it. It is sort of the understanding that we need to totally reimagine and redo society in order to create hierarchies of oppression. It's hard to explain in a 15-second soundbite.
Yeah, look, your time.
So, indeed, it did go viral. And as Briahna Joy Gray said there, you can take your time. We can have a long, extended form conversation about this word. And I promise we'll get to the core of the reality that it's not being used the way that they talk about it. Honestly, it is a way to dishonestly characterize the opposition as a whole based on either rando social media video examples or just complete lies about what anyone on the side stands for, and create this straw man and then beat up on the straw man as your political message. But then when she gets some time to expand on this, and Briahna Joy Gray asks, what are you saying? So kids are being harmed in some way. And when this Bethany Mandel individual has a chance to expand, she tells this story. Listen to the story and then see Briahna Joy Gray just completely slap it.
So with the example of a 5-year-old, one example that one of my friends just posited on Twitter, her 5-year-old came home and said, I like girls. And so that means different things to different people. For an adult, and sort of what the adults were sort of telling that child and what they understood they were sort of framing for that child was that it's okay to be gay or straight, and more of a sexuality question. Whereas for children, it's more, I like girls and I like boys. And the way that this is sort of targeting children it comes up a lot in children's literature and children's movies. And so there's a lot of sort of hypersexualization of the content that's being fed to children.
Okay, so you get the point. And then let me skip forward just for the sake of time to where Briahna Joy Gray adds some important context to that story she told.
Yeah, I saw that tweet that you mentioned. It was someone who said, I was recently at my friend's son's 8th birthday party. I was chatting with one of the moms, and she said that her 5-year-old daughter came home from school and said she likes girls, and that her teacher said that's okay. So the response seems to have been that's okay, without more editorializing about whether it's sexual or not. Although you quote tweeted it saying, talking about sexuality with young children weird again, make that weird again.
Yeah.
Without more, it does seem like that's just that's fine and let it go, and we'll see if she grows up and is actually lesbian or she just likes hanging out with her friend Crystal. So what would you prefer a parent do? What do we think is the appropriate course of action there to tell a kid it's not okay to like girls?
No. So the rest of that tweet said, the mother was complaining that this is kind of constant messaging that's happening at the school. And this is something that a lot of parents are feeling very frustrated about, that it feels like a death from a thousand cuts. It's just constant messaging about sexuality.
Okay, so we'll stop it there. But very nicely done by Briahna Joy Gray, and hilarious that she's trying to say this story of, you know, a child's being indoctrinated into being gay, I guess was the attempt of the story there, or what she was attempting to push there. But then Briahna Joy Gray says, well, the original tweet was just saying some teacher, I guess, whenever a kid came up and said, I like girls, they said, okay. What should they respond? No. And then these types of anecdotes, and again, there are more dramatic, more, I think, universally condemnable examples of teachers doing things that aren't appropriate, whatever it might be. But either those stories are then extrapolated to mean this is what the left's pushing for, or lies about a story like that where she's saying, so then the conversation has to be about the sexualization of children, saying it's encouraging the kid, you need to be lesbian. That's not what the story was. Why are you saying that that's the takeaway when that's not even what the story was? And all of the dishonesty that was being put out there was highlighted by just simple question to start with. What's woke? And then, okay, you say this specific anecdote. I read the story you're talking about. You're lying sort of by, you know, kind of what you're trying to allude to about the reality of that very story. And it's so important this is done more often, because unfortunately, this boogeyman of woke is being used effectively for the right in many cases to push a lot of people, definitely on the right, some in the center, and a few people even center left, to believe there's this big problem with targeting with the left going after your kids. And as I've said before, I think we should fight to protect kids. Yes, I think we should address, if they want to talk about grooming and all these examples of dangers to children, 100%. The way we do that is not lying about what groups of people are pushing for, advocating for, and actually you're standing in the way of really addressing real problems when you're lying about these problems that you want to focus on. And it's pretty unfortunate. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before all the clips are uploaded to YouTube, plus get the full bonus show every single Saturday, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Luke Beasley. That's patreon.com/Luke Beasley. Link in the description.